Park.
Wow. Where do I start? Let's start with a meeting that I had. And remember, this is not the first time that this bill has been tabled. We tabled a motion before the member from York South-Weston, again, which was supported by the Conservatives. I'll remind the Conservatives. It was even supported by the Mayor, Rob Ford. Who knows what he was smoking, but he supported it, to electrify. And then we had a meeting, Rick Ciccarelli and myself, Ontario Clean Train, with the Minister of Transport, at which time, in front of witnesses, he said to us, we are going to be electrifying by 2017. I can't promise, but we are. Today, a typical Liberal, we hear something quite different. And what do we hear? We hear it's really awful on the East-West line. They're running on diesel. So it's going to be awful on the air rail link. That's the justification. We're building a new air rail link, but because it's so bad in other systems, because the transit system is so messed up, after 10 years of them being in office, why should we prioritize yours? Let me tell you why. Tens of thousands of signatures on petitions that have said, among other things, number one, no other major city in the world. Let me repeat that. No other city in the world is investing in diesel for a major line like this. Let me tell you what else. Diesel is linked up there with arsenic, asbestos, mustard gas, and tobacco. That's how dangerous diesel is. And if they're going to respond about Tier 4, let me tell you that Tier 4 only cuts that by about 50%. We don't need another study. We're getting another study. Metrolinx has already done an assessment. The assessment is unequivocal. It has to be electric. I feel sorry for the member from York South-Weston because she's been sold out by her cabinet and sold out by her premier, who is clearly not interested in what she has to say and clearly not interested in the health of people in her region. And she's had, ever since she was elected. Mr. Speaker, I've been here for almost 8 years, and this has been an issue for a good 7 of them, and yet still we hear over there that, maybe sometime, there's new technology. We're going to wait for the new technology. How about not using the old technology? How about that? How about just doing it right? How about doing it by 2015? Let's look at the reality, Mr. Speaker. This is even carrying the athletes to the so-called Green Games. The so-called Green Games will be transporting wealthy tourists at the cost of between $20 and $40 a ticket from the airport to Union Station, bypassing lots of individuals, lots of residents and constituents who need affordable transportation, which we do not have. And yes, our leader doesn't negotiate with Mr. Murray. Oh, too bad. Come on. In what world does this minister live? Oh, my goodness. Give me a break. We went to see you. You made some commitments to us. You didn't carve them in stone, and you're not funding them. That's important. So clearly, what comes out of the minister's mouth in one instance is not what comes out of the minister's mouth in another.
Very good.
Point of order.
Point of order. I made a very clear commitment, the member's right, that we would do a demonstration project and initiate electrification. I think she's effectively calling me a liar, and I think that's unparliamentary.
Okay, thank you. Set a point of order. Carry on.
Never said anything like it. Okay, maybe. I would love to read the transcripts of that meeting because we have witnesses here. Bottom line, the member from Davenport is correct. There is no funding allocated to it. We need funding allocated. The member from York South-Weston, there's no funding. There's no plan. There's no plan and no funding. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen without funding and a plan. I would love to see that plan. I would challenge my friend, the Minister of Transportation, to table that plan, to actually table his plan, their plan, the Liberals' plan for the electrification, the date at which it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, how much it's going to cost, what the engineering concerns are. Just put it on the table. Just make it real. It shape, or form. So to the folk who've come here, to the thousands of people who've signed our petitions in our ridings, to the member from Davenport, to all the children and the schools that are along that line that are going to be breathing in the diesel fumes, what we say is another day, another Liberal promise, and still no Liberal action.
And more diesel.
Still no Liberal action. Instead of electrification, we get promises. Instead of reality, we get fantasy. Instead of electric trains in 2015, we get diesel. That's the reality. That's the fact. That's what we're working with. And until we're working with something else, Mr. Speaker, except vague conversation, one has to go out to our constituents and, quite frankly, tell them the truth. We're going to tell our constituents and your constituents the truth. Thank you.